9. AOB Class 2 AOB hogs weighing 268 to 286. Exhibitors need to be making your way to the holding pen.
Well, certainly good first-class AOBs here, and Boots with the Fur is going to go ahead and start this particular drive. That one's got the extra fuzz down low, extra stout in terms of feature, great balance when we get off to the side. I like his body composition. I love his shape up top. That's a good show bear to start this particular class. The other Yorkshire is going to be second. Again, a good balance, not as loose in terms of his upper hip, a little more stilty in his shoulder, not near as maxed out at the top side of his skeleton. He needs to be edged up and shaped up just a shot to compete with the one that starts. The Hampshire is going to be third, and again, he probably has a little more shape and muscle. Didn't see him near as dense in terms of his head. I didn't see him as dense in terms of his feature, but again, his streamlined presence and his leanness and cutability got the really chunky Chester bear that comes next. I mean, he's moderate, thick, and wide, not near lean enough and trim enough, but he did have more muscularity than the spot bear that we have below him. Good pattern, good design. Again, a little nondescript, a more muscular kind of a bear that needs to be sounder structured. We round out with. Let's go ahead and give those kids a hand as they head back.
Thanks, Judge. Class 3 exhibitors need to be making your way to the holding pen. Class 3 exhibitors, please be making your way to the holding pen. Class 2 is in the ring. Placing first in Class 1 was Brindley Martin. Class in second place was Anna Broach DeLoach. Tennyson Holmesley was third. Finn Johnson fourth. Darcy Johnson fifth. And rounding out the class in sixth was Kendall Price. Class 2 is in the ring. There should be 4 entries. These hogs weigh 268 to 286. Class 3. Please be making your way to the holding pen. And Class 4, be on standby because there's only 3 entries in Class 3. But once more, placing first in Class 1 was Brindley Martin. Anna Brooke DeLoach was second. Tennyson Holmesley was third. Finn Johnson fourth. Darcy Johnson fifth. And closing the gate on the class was Kendall Price in sixth.
Well, just 4 in this particular drive, and again, the market hog of the group is the young lady's Yorkshire bear in the center of the ring. He's the freshest up top. He's a really big arm bear that's got a lot of power right through the middle part of his body. He's a big hipped one with muscularity from end to end. I like him to lead. Now, is he as heavy structured as the bear that's in second? No, but he's much fresher. When I get on top of him, his back line holds stronger and truer throughout. The young man's Chester bear is going to be second. He needs to be pried open down low. He could be neater and trimmer and leaner through the lower 1/3 of his body relative to the one we start with, but I thought a solid bear to be be in second. The Chester here closest to me, again, sound, comfortable, good structured bear, just planes out at the top part of his body. He's not as heavy duty as terms of the Chester ahead of him. A practical kind of a spot bear there. Not as neat, trim, and tidy, but certainly a good flexible one that needs to be, again, leaner through the lower 1/3 of his body. He needs to be creased up and shaped up top. He could be heavier structured as well. Let's congratulate those kids as they head back.
Thanks, Judge. Class 3 have 3 entries. Ruth Lovren, Harper Gurley, and Cameron Bowman. Class 4 exhibitors, you need to be on your way to the holding pen. Class 4 exhibitors, you need to be on your way to the holding pen. Class 3 is coming in the ring, placing first in Class 2. Madeline Talent, Colton Simpson was second. Darcy Johnson third, and Frazier Johnson was fourth. At the conclusion of Class 6, we'll bring the class winners back in to select a top 5. Second place winners need to be on standby. But once more, placing first in Class 2, Madeline Talent. Second, Colton Simpson. Darcy Johnson was third, and Frazier Johnson fourth. In the ring now are Berkshire Class 200 to 235. Class 4 exhibitors need to be on your way to the holding pen. Class 4 to the holding pen.
Well, just 3 in this particular drive, initial class of Berkshires, and again, they line up relatively easily for me. The broad-bodied, fresh-back, square-backed one that's a big hog and yet maintains squareness. That's the young lady here to my left in the blue shirt. Another good bear to win this particular drive. Right body composition, right kind of squareness as they go away. Really good to the lower part of his skeleton there in terms of genuine squareness. He overpowers the bear that's going to go ahead and be in second. The young fella there to my right is going to be second. Beautiful pattern, good looking, a little more immature in terms of his rib and body. He's just not as pried open down low. He's not as just bulky and husky through his mid body. But again, he's longer hipped. He's more attractive than the bear that comes next. Here's a bear on the stand I like a good bit. He's got extra hair. He's certainly a bear that's got a good shape to his body. At the same time, he rounds in his upper hip. He wants to tuck his hind leg. He's a little plainer ahead of his blade and a little frailer in terms of his bone and foot. Let's give those kiddos a nice hand as they head back.
Thank you, Judge. Class 4 is entering the ring. We have 4 entries. Class 5, Duroc. Exhibitors, you need to be making your way to the holding pen. Class 5, Duroc. Exhibitors need to be making your way to the holding pen. Class 4 is entering the ring. There should be 4 entries. These hogs weigh 253 to 290. But placing first in our Berkshire class was Harper Gurley. Ruth Lovren was second, and Cameron Bowman was third.
Again, just 4 in this Berkshire Drive, easy class winner, and that's the young lady on the far side. I like that bear a good bit. That thing creases up at the backside of his shoulder, absolutely awesome. He's short-backed and elevated. He's a square hock kind of a bear that's got extra heavy-duty ness built into his feature and bone. He's elevated and yet boxy. Again, he's not the most overwhelming when he comes, but, man, he's got muscle. He's lean. He's neat. He's trim. He's attractive. That's a nice bear to lead this particular drive. 2 and 3 is where the sort comes, and I guess at the end of the day, I just stay safe, and that's the young man in the pink there. He's going to be second. Sound structured, big-bodied kind of a bear. He's not as muscular as the bear that's probably in 3, but again, his hock sets in square, and again, he's just a very well-presented kind of a bear. The heavy-muscled one here, again, edged up at the backside of his shoulder. He wants to roll and hook his hind leg, gets a little more right at the top of his neck. I like his extra fresh shape. We've got to clean up his rear feet and just presentation, just a shot if he's going any higher in this particular drive. The bear we round out with gets a little wild walking. He's certainly an elevated kind of a bear that with a big hard back and a big muscular hind end, and with that he gets a bit uncoordinated in terms of how he handles himself out here. He flattens in his body. If you would, let's give those kiddos a big round of applause as they head back.
Thanks, Judge. Class 5, Duroc entering the ring. These hogs weigh from 200 to 265. Class 6 Duroc exhibitors, you need to be making your way to the holding pen. Class 6 Duroc exhibitors, be making your way to the holding pen. And at the conclusion of Class 6, we will select a top 5 purebred barrel. Top 5 purebred barrel at the conclusion of Class 6. Class 4, winning first, Alex Johnson. Hunter Smith was second. Piper Baker third. And Terry Meadows was fourth. In the ring now is Class 5. There should be 5 entries of Duroc barrels. Class 6 exhibitors, please be making your way to the holding pen. And a recap from Class 4. First, Alex Johnson. Hunter Smith second, Piper Baker third, and rounding out the class in fourth, Terry Meadows.
Good set of Durocs to start. Class winner easily for me is the young guy here to my right. I mean, that is a beautiful fronted kind of a red bear with a big arm and a big square chest. He's attractive from the side profile. Sorry about that. You hit it. I just held it out. The really square when we get in behind. He's athletic kind of a bear. Certainly, I like his proportions. I like his height to length ratio. That's a good red bear to start this particular drive and an easy handle in this particular class. The young man to my left there, or excuse me, on the far side is going to be second. Again, that's a nice bear in his own right. He's rounder in his upper hip. He's not near as long and just as exotic about his look ahead of his blade. I like the shape to his body. He's a big, bold rib kind of a bear. Certainly one that's big-ended and still square. He's not as descript up top in terms of his flare at the backside of his shoulder. Young lady's got a nice bear. He's a little more moderate. He packs a little more right at the top of his neck, and at the same time, he's a little rounder in terms of his upper hip. I'm sorry. That is a good, sound, structured bear. He just needs to be edgier in terms of his leanness out here relative to the field. Here's one that needs to be sounder because he's got the look out front. He's got the great shape to his body. He swivels and sways as we set him into motion. The young lady here that we round out with, again, gets a bit uncoordinated in terms of his hind leg and at the same time drier in his flank from end to end. Let's give those kids a nice hand.
Thanks, Judge. Entering the ring now is Class 6 Duroc barrels that weigh 282 to 288. There should be 3 entries in this class. And at the conclusion of Class 6, we'll bring the class winners back to select a top 5. And second place winners, please be on standby. The placing first in Class 5, Raiden Lovren. Second, Dalton Fink. Addison Payne third. John Michael Murphy was fourth, and fifth, Kendall Castleberry. These barrels in Class 6 weigh 282 to 288. There should be 3 entries. The other first place winners from Classes 1 through 5, please be in the holding pen, and second place exhibitors, please be on standby. But once more, a recap from Class 5. First, Raiden Lovren. Second, Dalton Fink. Addison Payne third, John Michael Murphy fourth, and closing the gate on the class.
Just 3 in our last class of reds here, and again, quality bears, and yet maybe not the depth we saw in that first class, but our class winner is going to be the young guy here closest to me. He's the levelest built. He's the loosest in terms of his structure, and then at the same time, he comes with the flexibility and the muscularity that it takes. My congratulations to him. In the center is going to be second, and again, he's a big-ribbed, productive, very smooth-moving kind of a bear. He's not as lean and neat and trim as some of the ones we saw, but certainly a quality pig. The young guy probably has a show bear of the group, but at some point he's been injured on his right hind, and for that reason he's 3. Front 2/3 I love. He just has to go better out here. Let's give those kids a nice round of applause as they head back.
Thanks, Judge. Placing first in Class 6, Finn Johnson. Frazier Johnson was second, and John Michael Murphy was third. We need our class winners to select the top 5 overall purebred barrel. From Class 1, we have Brindley Martin. Class 2, Madeline Talent. Class 3, Harper Gurley. Class 4, Alex Johnson. Class 5, Raiden Lovren. And from our last Class 6, we have Finn Johnson. Class 7 exhibitors, you need to be getting ready to come to the holding pen. Class 7 exhibitors, you need to be getting ready to come to the holding pen.
Well, if you would, let's congratulate our purebred bear exhibitors with a big round of applause here. I know it's getting late, but appreciate you all hanging in. These kids deserve it. They brought good projects to work through, and I know we've went maybe quicker than some of y'all prefer, but at the end of the day, there's a storm coming, and these kids are out here doing a great job. It gets close for me, and yet at the end of the day, I just really break them down for what they are. There's one out here that's the broadest when he comes. There's one out here that's the broadest through the middle part of his body as you stand over him. There's one that's a big-ended bear that's really square in his upper hip. He's attractive from the side. He's long-necked. He's useful and has utility built into his skeleton. There's two other bears that push him, but I can pick those a hole or two. And so you get him out here and stand amongst them. Get over top of this red bear. He's darn sure the best. Congratulations to him. We dropped that second place bear in, and certainly a good bear in his own right. It's close between the Berkshire and the Yorkshire on the far side in the middle there, in my opinion, and then you really start to break them down, and you know, it's a market hog show, and so when I get on top of these things, I want them to have as much as we possibly can. We could tweak both these bears. The York, we could give a little more rib and body and freshen his back line. We could pry the Berkshire bear open in his chest, but man, I'm a sucker for a big, fresh back. I'm a sucker for stout feature with a neat look. Next best, Berkshire.
Good job.
Well, thanks, Judge. While these hogs are making their way out of the room, our champion purebred barrel, exhibited by Raiden Lovern. The reserve champion is exhibited by Alex Johnson. Brindley Martin was the third overall. Parker Gurley was fourth overall. And Madeline Talent, with her Class 2 winner, was fifth overall. Champion Purebred Barrel, exhibited by Raiden Lovern, Reserve, Alex Johnson with her Berkshire. Third overall was Brindley Martin with her AOB. Fourth overall, Parker Gurley. And fifth overall, Madeline Talent. We're ready to begin our crossbred market hogs show. There should be 8 entries in Class 7. These hogs weigh 216 to 241.
fun class, very, very good top end. Really, the top three are very, very good. Fun to evaluate our initial pair. And of the initial pair, there's one that's looser in terms of his hind leg. There's one that's just denser in terms of his feature. And you couple that with the fact that he's longer in his upper hip. He's ditched out big up top. He's round in his body. He paints a beautiful picture from the side, and he's got horsepower when he comes. He's got booty when he leaves, and then just that symmetry and balance, all things going in the right direction here with this particular bear. My compliments to this young man on a job well done with a good kind of a show bear. And that's taking nothing away from the calico here closest to me, because when that one hits and you stand over him and you look at his shape to his body, the ditch in the middle of his back, and then you get off to the side and you just study his proportions, all spot on. Now he hinges a little tighter out of his upper hip, but again, relative to the 1 and 3, he packs so much more in the middle part of his body, and that's why he gets into second pretty handily for me. The gilt paints a beautiful picture. There's no doubt she's high-headed, attractive, really shapely at the backside of her shoulder, yet at the same time she's a little beaky about her head relative to the other two. She's flatter and drier in her foreribs. She wants to close at the base of her skeleton relative to those two heaters we saw initially. But again, I love her symmetry. I love her extra shag and just presentation out here. A very, very good kind of a pig. A stoutie lies in 4, and there's no doubt he's got good rib and body. And is probably more similar to those first two in terms of that regard, but at the same time he closes at the base of his skeleton. He's a little plainer out ahead of his blade, and for those reasons he falls down the way. A big attractive bear that's simply too round in his upper hip and too quick in his step. I love his look ahead of his blade. He's not as heavy structured as the others that we saw. We got to air up this bear's front tires. He gets a little flat and sore as we watch him go across the ring. We go ahead and roll on down the line. The two bears that follow up here, again, the blue one needs more muscularity. He's got to be pried open as he comes. The black bear needs to have more horsepower throughout. Let's congratulate those kids as they head back.
That class was a little chaos there at the end there. Class 8, there should be 8 entries. These hogs weigh 245 to 262. Class 8, these hogs weigh 245 to 262. We need Class 9 to be making your way to the holding pen. Class 9 exhibitors, please be making your way to the holding pen. Class 8 is in the ring, but placing first. In Class 7 was Tucker Ross, second. Charlie Stone, third. Roop Lovern, fourth. Molly Cox, fifth. McKenna Martin. Madeline Talent was sixth. Seventh. Kendall Castleberry, and eighth. Briley Murphy. In the ring now is Class 8. These clogs weigh 245 to 262. There should be 8 entries. Class 9 exhibitors, please be making your way to the holding pen.